Hello, this is Cuckoo. I just released a new album and I couldn't be more pleased with how it all turned out. It's an FM synthesis album and I'm really stoked about it. So please go and listen to it. Listen in your car, on your way to work, during your lectures. Not sure about that, but yeah, go and listen to it. Links down below in the description. So what I want to speak about today is how I made the album. And if there is one thing I want to come across to you throughout this video is that whatever gear you have, it's not always a solution to get more gear because you think it's going to be better. Sometimes just one piece of gear that you know really, really well, like inside out, that could be enough. So in this album, I made all of the album with just one machine. And I composed everything, I performed on this machine. It was meant to be a live set, and it grew and grew and grew. And after some time of playing it a couple of times, I'm like, yeah, I like this. I'm gonna make an album out of this live set. So the synthesizer is this. It's the Digitone. It's an FM synthesizer in the style of a sequencer groove box. And I really like this format because it's something where it can be really detailed in composing. And it's got 4 tracks. So how do you make a whole album just 4 tracks? Well, that's what I'm talking about. Know your stuff really, really well, and go deeper and deeper into how you can maximize this one machine. So in this video here, I'm going to take you through my process of how I made this album and pick maybe one song and pick it apart, show you how I recorded it and how I rearranged it a little bit to fit the album and so forth. So yeah, if you're up for that, let me show you my process. Right, so here we go. Digitone, ready to go. I put all of the songs on this live set that later became the album in one project, so that when I'm performing this, it's all in one place, and I go from pattern to pattern to pattern. I wiggle and change stuff on the fly and distort things, take it back in, and then I go to the next pattern. I go back and forth between prepared patterns that I destroy and bring back. So let's start out on the synth alone, and then we're going to bring in the computer and see how I recorded it. So this song is called Syntax Mismatch. It starts like this, backed B, pattern 9. It starts out like that. And actually, already now I can tell you that one of the difficulties with this particular song is that I really like that kind of ostinato bass just going on and on and on, but when you're mixing that and mastering it, it's like very, very delicate balance there if the bass is becoming super annoying or just losing all energy. So let's listen to the bass first of all. That's a weird bass. When I created this song, that's the way it came to be. And then later on, when I recorded it and started to realize that, oh, that bass there is going to be a problem in the mix, I decided to go back and every bass trig there on the sequencer, I had to kind of fine tune it to not go over the board where it's becoming super annoying and not lose all the bass energy. So listen to that. And you can also hear that within this bass track, which is track 1, there is a kind of kick also. Kick, kick, kick. Yeah? And on the other track 2, we got this. Typical Mega Drive style, super fat electric guitar and bell. Something like that. And we can actually see that, wow, there's 3 trigs there. What's going on all these 3 trigs? Let's see. So one of them is kind of the electric guitar FM synth, and the other one is a bell. So I have them on the left and the right here. So you might wonder, why did I place them after each other on one track and not on like separate tracks? It's because I'm already pushing it to do more than what you'd expect it to do. So this one it's hitting the timing straight on the beat, and then the gong is hitting the micro timing like super early. So they're almost hitting at the same time, essentially doubling the trig with two different sounds on almost the same trig. So that's kind of a trick to get more out of just one track. So how about this one? That's a build-up sound, and you can see here that when I press it on the trig page, we can see fill. So this is a filler. That means it's something I use to build up to a pattern change. So normally the build-up is not played, but if I keep this pressed, next time we hear it, it's now ready to kind of progress into the next pattern. And sometimes that is precisely what I do when I perform. So let's see the other tracks. Track 3. Hi-hat and snare drum. 2 elements into one track. Yeah, so how about the next one? So this is not like the first track of the album. It's I believe the second track. So we're kind of already built up to this, and we can go through the tracks again. I can show you a recurring theme here in the way I organize the tracks. Track 1 is very often the bass. So let's listen to it. Same thing there, that energetic bass and kick drum. Track 2, we can see it's missing the first part of the melody. So where's the first part of the melody? I think it's on track 3. Let's listen. So I'm puzzling together track 2 and track 3 in order to play 4 tracks on 2 tracks. And I'm puzzling it together to get the most polyphony out of it and to get it all to play nice. So on track 3 there, we had and drum. So, and because it is a true polyphonic synth, I can have this long tone and not be interrupted by this. Yeah. And so what about track 4? Can we see some action on track 4 now? Yeah. Ooh, nice. So this is what I do over and over again, and I try to make it easy for myself by kind of doing the same thing, like bass and kick drum, hi-hats and snares, mostly melody and mostly additional sounds. The Digitone can play 8 sounds at the same time, so I'm very much reaching that limit all the time. Sometimes it is cutting off other voices, and I'm okay with that. I'm kind of guiding it towards where it's okay to cut off voices. And this is a good example of where I could reach in and do accent on the fly as I'm performing, and later on as I'm recording as well, because the recording is a long performance which I've then gone down and edited to tighten it up a little bit. For instance, one place I go is to the synth page, where I could change all the ratios and frequencies of the operators. But if I'm doing this now, holding down MIDI to control all the tracks at the same time, and then reload. So that's something I do a lot. And another place I do that is on the synth page 2, which is the envelopes for the operators. Now listen to this. Slower attack. Faster attack. Recall. So do the same on the release. Shorter. Longer. Shorter. Longer attack. Very mysterious. That's something I do as an accent once in a while, where it makes sense to kind of build up or to take it down, especially when I bring stuff down to take it down to a more intricate level. I also send it to reverb. Mysterious, go to amp, send it to reverb. All the tracks. Shorter. Build it up again, make it crazy. Yeah. And that is stuff that I just grown so used to doing it. So it's something I just reach out to it and do it. And I know how to instantly get back. Keep holding it and press reload pattern. So is there anything more I want to show you now? It's just a nice song. Yeah, this place is a place where I enjoy to mute tracks. This is what the pattern sounds like. And because I know kind of what is under each track now, I can expect a bass and kick drum on track 1. Yeah, and on track 2, I can expect some melodic things. And on track 3, I can expect a hi-hat. Yeah, track 4, there is gonna be something extra. So here I'm enjoying muting because it's very phrase based and I like to mute it tight on this precise place, like so. Hit up. Yeah, cue up a change there. And now we're moving towards the end of the song, where I start to kind of play around with all of the parameters. Going to this. Send reverb on everything, more delay. Yeah, stuff like that. So that's the actual track, how I perform it live and also how I perform it when I record it. Now, let's move over to how I record it. I'm using, in this particular case, I was using the USB cable and recording everything digitally. Usually I don't do that, but in this case, I figured if I'm going to release an album, I want to make sure it's like mixed as good as it can, and then maybe I can even introduce more space between the different tracks if I record them separately. So if you plug it into the computer with a USB, you get access to all of the tracks. 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks. And also you get access to the effects track separately. So you can kind of use the effects as it was performed, but also hook up like new effects in the workstation. And yeah, so let me show you how I set it up and how I record it. Let's do it. Alright, so with this album, when I recorded the Digitone, I did it by recording each of the tracks separately and plus the effects track and performing straight into the computer and recording digitally over USB. So I'm going to plug it into USB now and see what my setup is. Let's go. First of all, I'm just going to head into the menu here, go down to System, and make sure that in the USB config, Overbridge is turned on. You might probably have to have installed Overbridge on the computer as well for this to work properly, I think. Next, I'm going to launch my audio workstation, which in my case is Logic Pro. Oof. The first thing I'm going to do is go to Audio Settings, make sure that the input device is indeed the Digitone, and the output device is my audio interface. It could be the Mac itself, but in my case I'm using a Firefox UCX. And by the way, it is an iPad, but it's not the iPad version of Logic Pro. This is just a way to make it easy for me to display the Mac screen on a flat table. So let's create some tracks here. I need like track 1, 2, 3, 4 and effects. So let's set it up. We can see here on the input menu here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 12. That means all the tracks are in stereo. Let's see what track 1 to 2 is, and let's listen to it. I'm going to set the monitor here to input. So now, what we're hearing now is actually the digital audio. If I turn it off here, we can't hear it. If I head over to my audio interface mixer, we can see the audio, the analog audio coming in here. So that's the analog audio. I just keep it on mute so that we only listen to the digital audio right now. So that was the main audio. How about track 3 and 4? Listen to it. Yeah, it's track 1. How about 5 and 6? Track 2, yeah, and so forth. So in order to set it up to record the tracks one by one, and then the effects on a separate track without the mix, I'm going to set up the main mix to just not include the tracks and only play the effects. So right now we concluded that track 1 and 2 were in fact the main output. But here in the setting, we go into audio routing, route to main. What do you want to route to main? We want to route the effects, but not these main tracks. So now if we play it and listen, we only hear the effects, which is great. So now all of these tracks are set up to record each track here and the effects. Press record and press play. So we can see all of the tracks coming in here. I could even start fiddling around here now. Cue a pattern change. And there we go. So let's see what we've got here. Yeah, there we go. Everything seems to be in place. Yeah, there we go. All good. So yeah, this is the way I record it all. Let's find the actual document where I recorded this. Let's see. Voila, here we are. We can see here that it's lightly edited, and we can see that by the vertical lines here where I've kind of edited the whole thing. And so if we play here, there might be some plugins that I can't play now, but let's listen to it. Yeah, that's the one. We got the 4 multi-tracks and we got the effects and color coded it in a way to make it easier for me to understand. So track 1, same color, track 2, same color, and so forth. Effects, dark purple. It is a live set that I've recorded, and usually when I record to make a release, I record maybe twice as long. So for instance, if I'm making a transition from one pattern to another, one section of the song to another, I record more than I need. And if I'm not like super happy with how the flow turned out, I still keep it running and just go back to the previous pattern, do it again. It's in the flow, it's going, it's on the rhythm, it's on the bar, on the beat, everything is just going. So I could have done that better. Just queuing up the previous pattern again and having another go at it. And then I feel like, well, that's pretty good. And listening back to it, I feel like maybe I should mute these parts here, like here. You can see here, I've actually gone in and made a few little adjustments there. didn't need those there. Let's listen to what I have like here. The hi-hat there, just punching it in a little bit in order to build up to the new segment of the song. And then we have the automation. We see the automation here. Usually what I'm automating is the volume. Some slow and small changes in volume to accent certain parts of the song. Maybe I want the hi-hats to swell a little bit here and there. Let's see, in fact, the hi-hats now. Speaking of, yeah, there's the hi-hat control. Heavy automation there, you see? And maybe you hear it, maybe you don't. But right there, when you're getting more and more and more into it, it's just like, oh, it sounds a little static. I should ebb and flow with hi-hat a little bit. Here we can see a sudden spike in volume on track 2 there. Let's see what it did. Yeah. It's the very same place where I showed you earlier that I like to mess around in just exactly that spot. And this is something I remember doing a lot of takes there, maybe, I don't know, 20 takes of that mute action. And also what I ended up with was the stuff when I'm kind of glitching out. Just turned out to be a very interesting and fun kind of break at that point. And that's what I ended up going for. Another thing I want to show you is that even though I think the sound as it is from the machine, that's the way it was intended for the live show, maybe I could make it better. So on every track, I've tried to kind of sculpt it a little better. So for instance, I'm using Universal Audio plugin here. I haven't plugged it in, so I can't use it right now. But a little preamp, virtual preamp, I'm using it sometimes to create more presence and a more lively bass, perhaps. So what we're hearing now is without that. And here is another one. Actually, I just had this as a loaner, this compressor. But this compressor in particular, I think, turned out really nice. Just evened out a lot of stuff and made it like simpler, easier to listen to, just pleasant. My idea was to put each track on in separate kind of rooms so that they stand out a little bit from one another. And I mixed it while I had a subscription on Universal Audio Spark. It's expired now, so I didn't realize. But yeah. And then let's check out what I'm sending here. So we've got effects bus 1, 3, 4, and 5. What are those? Let's see here. We've got a big reverb, a delay, a room, a submix, a tail reverb for really, really long stuff. And I'm sending to those reverbs and automating that. So if I were to open up all the automation here, let's do that. Let's see. So we can see a lot of little hints of inserts here, like sending to the delay here. You can see how it's all kind of laid out. Sending a little delay right there, a little reverb. Yeah, so we can't hear the effects now because I haven't paid for another year of Spark, unfortunately. Maybe I should do that. But that's also a kind of nice reminder for when you're making an album. You can pay for some licensed stuff for just when you're making it, and then when you're done, you don't have to keep paying for it. It's also nice. Yeah. So this is the way I created it, and then it comes to the big question for me, and the big question is always mastering. I was debating whether to master it myself, whether to use some professional. I tried to make a couple of mastering myself with with the knowledge I have, and also try the new automatic mastering in Logic Pro, which actually is one of the best automatic mastering that I've heard. But then it turned out I have a friend who I thought was a photographer, to be honest, and it turns out he's a mastering engineer. And he reached out and said, "Hey, I hear you're wrapping up work, and maybe I can have a go at one of the tracks." I sent one track to him, and then what I got back was like, "Oh, holy shit! This sounds so good, so clear, beautiful, playful." He managed to do all of these really, really fine things that I cannot do. I just lack the knowledge of mastering. I can make it sound pretty good enough for YouTube, but certainly not good enough for releasing on the for releasing an album, and certainly not for releasing like a vinyl. So I really hope that I can make a vinyl out of this, because I think the final sound deserves it. It's Sergei, if you're watching this, you did such a tremendous job on the mastering. I was so happy with it. So yeah. So that's the whole process. What else is there to say about the album? It's out now. So go to your favorite music streaming platform, listen to it there. Keep it on, keep it in the background, just keep it playing, so that you send me some some play counts, because frankly, streaming music is not really feasible as economical grounds to build a career on. It just isn't. So I hope that I can make a physical version by the end of the year. I really hope so, and I hope you're interested in that. So with all of that being said, another way to support me is over at Patreon. Patreon is a lovely platform to support your favorite creators, such as me or someone else, and you can make sure that what you put in is going straight to the creator you support. So thank you everyone for doing that. That is very helpful for me, and I hope if you appreciate the work I'm doing here on YouTube, you consider throwing in some donation over Patreon. That is very, very helpful for me. It's my lifeline. So thank you so much for doing that. So I'm going to perform the live set with this music from the new album, a couple of places. Right now it's the 3rd of May, 2024. And I have 2 gigs lined up for Super Booth. One, the 15th of May, the day before Super Booth. One, the 19th of May, the Sunday, the day after Super Booth in Berlin, both of them. The 15th is at Ulm, and the second one is at Klunkerkranich, which is a lovely spot on the rooftop in the middle of Berlin. Really cool spot. So I'm so happy I got to play there. And then by the end of May, I'm coming to the Netherlands. I'm going to perform 1 gig there, maybe 2, maybe some meet and greets there. I'm going to keep you posted on my website and also on my social media on Instagram. So if you're interested in that, please head over and book some tickets for my shows. And the shows in Berlin, they're kind of underground, so I don't think you book. You just show up and come. It's great lineups there. So yeah, all good. I'm going to celebrate the release of my album in what way? I think I'm going to have Vietnamese food. That is always a winner. Such great Vietnamese food here in Oslo. Cool. Well, thank you for hanging out, and I hope you head over to your favorite streaming service and listen to my album as a whole. Put in a lot of work in it, and think of it as a live set, and like hanging out in the same room and listening to me performing. That's kind of the vibe. Peace out, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful year and wonderful life. See you soon.